with my old teammate who was a 7'5.5" jumper. And he was, you'd love him. He was old school. He was a Western roller guy. He was the last of the great American rollers.
Well, assuming I have this right, and this was, of course, before Fosbury, and I'm old enough to remember before the Fosbury, there couldn't have been two people doing it for the last, I don't know, Fosbury started in what, 70? Something like that?
Well, no. Come on now. He started in 1967 because he won the 1968 Olympics.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I have no problem.
Know these things.
I have no problem being wrong on that. I just know in my lifetime, I don't think anybody has ever invented something like that. Now, in tennis, the two-handed backhand was kind of invented, but I think it had existed to some degree, just not used as often. When Fosbury did it, no one had ever done it before that way, correct? Or am I wrong?
It was, it was. Well, there are some claims. There was a young woman in Canada who might have, they found pictures, but no, it was this guy. This was Fosbury who kind of stumbled upon it and then just kind of improved and invented and engineered it. And lo and behold, literally by 83, when Benny and I were teammates, this fellow's name was Ben Lucero. When Benny and I were teammates, I don't know that literally there was anybody else in the U.S. doing it besides Ben. And there might have been, 4 Russians when it was 83, it was still the USSR. When those guys were, there were a few Eastern Europeans. But Benny was the last of the great American rollers. And he was dynamite. And I can still see, I have couple pictures of him on my phone because I show it to people and like my kids and they're like, Dad, what is he doing? Right? Because you used to go under the back and the guy rolls over, it looks like he's literally molesting the bar. And you're like, I don't know that you can do that, and not lose your PG-13 rating.
Now the big question, because we can only do so much high jump. I could do the whole show on it, but I'm not sure that's in serving the interest of our audience. Right. What is the highest ever the old way? What what do they call it? Do they have a name for it? The straddle, or what was the?
Well, yeah, because they went the scissors to the straddle. To
right. It's actually what I call the non-Fosbury. I don't care what you're doing, but you're not doing.
Right.
Is that the is that 7.5.5 the highest ever done?
No, I think if you look, I think there might be. You could go as high as there might be a 7.8 guy. I have to look. I'm trying to think. Okay. Valerie Bromell did the great Soviet jumper. Valerie Bromell.
I know
you
all
and I
names.
are the only two that are old enough to remember.
That's correct. I'm looking up Dick Fosbury, and people should really. No one ever invented anything sports. I don't think to the degree that he did. He's still alive.
No, he passed away. He recently passed away in the last year.
You're right, March 12th. How can I miss that? How can I say someone's alive and not see that he's dead? That's terrible. Oh, that is officially old. Homer said he was alive, and he's looking at it, and it says born, and right underneath it says dead at the age of 76.
Well,
6'4". And people know of the greatness of Oregon, but he didn't go to Oregon.
Oregon State.
Yes. Is he the most famous thing ever from Oregon State? Might be.
You mean track-wise, Gary Payton might have come out of there. What do you think of the basketball
I won't
player,
do a discount like a Twitter poll question. I think Dick Fosbury is more, I don't know if I can say famous, more something than Gary Payton.
And what's a shame now is because of how the NCAA is and budget cuts and this, that, and the other thing. Oregon State currently has a women's track team. They no longer even have a men's track team, which is
kidding.
Nope.
I didn't know that's happened in track. It's happened in tennis that I know. Anything else you want to tell us about? Actually, they refer to it as the straddle method. All right, let's get to everything.
Yes,
everything's
what do we
important
have?
Only as it relates to the Green Bay Packers. I cannot connect Fosbury in any way to the Green Bay Packers.
I don't know.
I don't know what day.
They had a rookie kicker who flopped.
Yeah. There's that mean old guy that shows up when we have John Anderson on. You never know exactly when he's going to show up. I have to figure out how many days since I said it the first day. Every day, I think Super Bowl, Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. That's all I want. That's all I want. When I've discussed it, and we will have Rob Demovsky on, ask him, most have said, Homer, the biggest problem really might be the Jets more than the Packers because of how good the AFC is. And I thought, yeah, that might be true.
How about this? If it's Aaron Rodgers,
Yes.
how many other Packers will be on that roster to play against him? I don't think Cobb sticks.
Yeah.
Lazard, they probably got a little money in. Does Bakhtiari end up over there? Is Runyon going to end up over? Like, how many other Packers will be involved in this thing?
I have no idea, but none of them count. Only one counts.
Okay.
There's only right. Am I right? Is that? I mean, it would.
Yeah.
To be fair to Aaron Rodgers, he will already have won just by getting to the Super Bowl. Correct?
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
I mean, Tom Brady didn't really have to win at Tampa Bay. It elevated it even more, but just going with a second team is in itself special when you're that old.
And that franchise went to what? Super Bowl 3? No, 4. What was that? Packers, and then because then the Chiefs won 4. Yeah, I guess they were Super Bowl 3. Isn't that when they beat the
Yes.
beat
The
Colts? Beat the Colts. Yeah,
And no one, unless you're old, can realize how
Haven't
big
been
an
back then.
how big an upset that was. The Baltimore Colts were one of the great teams in the history of the NFL prior to that game. They had this just incredible. They were just so good. No one could come close, and the Jets beat them.
Played that game with a backup quarterback, Earl Morrall. That was
Yeah.
bad. Johnny Unitas didn't come in till late, but yeah, Don Shula's first Super Bowl experience was not a great one.
Yep.
We should talk about stuff from this century, though.
No, it is. I'm not sure that's close. To me, I refer to things as Old Testament. Don Hudson's Old Testament. I think, but that's my Old Testament. I think for the majority of people listening, we are into the Old Testament. Everybody, when does modern day sports start for you? And I think for anybody, it starts when they were at whatever year it was, when they were maybe 10, 9, and they remember.
I with the Inside Wisconsin show podcast I do with my buddy he was born in '83 when I graduated high school, so nothing really happened. Right. And we always like to compare Packer numbers, and let's go like who's number 80, and he goes, well, that's Donald Driver. I'm like, no, it's not. That's James Lofton.
James Lofton, yeah,
right. Like,
yep. Yeah.
We had Dylan on, and I'm like, I love you, but 28 is you have Willie Buchanan's number. I don't know that there's any way that you'll ever get to be number 28. That's Willie Buchanan's number. And, you could, I don't know that he'll be around long enough, but AJ, if he's had 10,000 yards, he still wouldn't be Willie Buchanan.
No, and you can't, there's no defining rule that this is the way it is. Because when I first met Marcus Johnson, the first year he took over with the Bucs, I walked up in and I said, I'm old enough to know how good you were. And he goes, that was a long time ago. I said, I don't care how long ago it is. I'm just telling you, I was there. I know how good you were. He said, you got to move on. I go, what do you mean? He goes, there are people that don't know who Michael Jordan was. And I was, yes, you were way before Michael Jordan. So I think everybody, it's a curious question to ask someone. So when did it start for you? When my first memory of sports was 1960, maybe 1 or 2. I was a Yankee fan because I thought the idea was to pick a team that won, and my father didn't teach me how to be a fan because he didn't follow any sports, and so I thought, and I'm from South Bend, everybody roots for the Bears, and I said, well, that's stupid. They go, what do you mean stupid? I go, yeah, I'm gonna root for the Packers. They beat the Bears all the time. Why would I root for a team that's not good? So I was a fan of the Packers and the Yankees. And I had an infatuation with Wilt Chamberlain. I thought he was not human. I thought I would have said an alien. So I rooted for his teams. But yeah, and then when teams are bad, I say like, quit, find another team. Sure, yeah, but then you're not loyal. Loyal to what? I want my team to win. Otherwise, why root for them? But
you'll bandwagon it, huh?
Yes, that's by definition. Why be a fan of a team that stinks? I think of all those Cubs fans. I'm loyal. No, I think you're stupid. Like, how many years does a team have to be bad before you say, I'm done? You don't have to pick the best, but what's this is
so you're telling me I should give up on my Missouri Tigers, who have been to more NCAA tournaments without going to a Final Four.
No, it's different when you go to school somewhere. Then you're that's different. You're not.
Okay.
It's family. You gonna kick your kid out of the house because they never won? No, it's family. Family changes everything. And that's my definition for it. And granted, I just made it up, but no one informed me. I hear these stories like, and with my kids, I didn't care what team they rooted for. Root for whatever team you want. That's the whole point.
So by your definition, you should never be a long-suffering fan.
Yes,
you
correct.
do that to yourself. You do that to yourself.
Yes, totally. I don't know what the rule is on changing, but,
So did you ride with the Packers from like 70 until 90, whatever it was? Did you jump off in there somewhere?
No, I did not pick another team, but I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, so I lost interest, and I just didn't. I mean, I was aware of them, but it's not like I gave one hoop. But when I started in radio in 1980, I started in Wisconsin. I've been in Wisconsin since 1980, every year but two. So I've rooted for him more as an announcer, which people think is wrong, and I go, that's just stupid. My life is so much better when your team wins. Oh, man. I'll never experience anything as great as the New Orleans and the Packers win the Super Bowl and in the locker room after the game. I'm talking, asking something, but I'm also just observing. You can feel the joy of the players and how incredible it feels. But
if I'm a fan, how long do I have to wait before I decide that I should get off this losing train?
I don't know. It's a great question.
I don't be on that thing.
I don't have an answer. I mean, I guess because now I root for the teams I follow. And so I think with the Brewers, see, my answer would be I don't demand a championship. I demand important games. You make to me, the Brewers have not won a World Series. They haven't been to one since '82. But I think as a fan, I would feel that they've given me great moments. Understanding baseball, I think they've been a player. And I was there. It was a Game 7 against the Dodgers at home where they would have made the World Series, and it was at 5-1, wasn't close. And I feel like that was a memorable season. But so I'm not.
I would agree with you. Like, obviously everybody wants to win championships, but I don't know that that's always has to be the sole barometer of what's going on because it's so hard to win. So many things have to go right for you. And so I would buy that. Like the Brewers in the 80s and I go back to when they first came to town, George Scott was the first guy I remember playing, like he was incredible over there at first.
And they have a walk of fame and he's not in it. I almost want a quick voting. Yeah, I vote for him every year. So I can't believe that. I mean, he was a Gold Gloves, I think 5 years in a row. I mean, he was, and he's not in their walk of whatever they call it. They should fire all the people that vote. No, he's Don Hudson apparently, but
that's too bad. Yeah, they should. It's funny because the people out here, they now curse that. Well, they had him, and then when they got him back, everybody thought it was great. Then Cooper went crazy for the Brewers and was great, and they're like, we should have never traded him. Peter Gammons is even like that. Peter Gammons like, I don't know why.
I mean, the Red Sox did greatness from that, and Cecil Cooper, right? He came from the Red Sox.
Yeah, he was.
The greatness of the Brewers was in part thanks to the Boston Red Sox. So,
yep, he was there. By the way, I did the same thing the first time I saw Marcus Johnson, and I was probably 40 or 45, and I saw him in an NCAA tournament game, and I'm like, just wanted to say hello. John Anderson, I work for ESPN, but as a kid, I grew up watching you. I know you were on Coach Wooden's last championship team. And honestly, like Terry Cummings had to work hard to win me over when he was in that trade because Marcus Johnson was so good.
No, people should realize they know of Larry Bird. They know of Dr. J. Marcus Johnson played against them every time they played, and never once did I think that the Bucks were in trouble because of that matchup. He was the equal, and they may have been a little bit better, but I'm saying he could play with any of them and hold his own to where, they got Larry Bird, we got Marcus Johnson. All right, let's go.
By the way, he still goes out and dunks on his birthday, right? And he's 60 whatever.
No, he's got some issue now. This year, I heard him talking about it. This year might be a little iffy. We should probably do some research on that. He acted like He might not be able to do it, or he's been hurt. I don't know. But yes, he's dunked. I've always thought that should be a, like a contest that draws some attention. The oldest person to dunk.
the NBA All-Star Dunk Contest featuring guys that are 60 and older.
Yes. Who wouldn't love that? Come on.
How about everybody?
What? You wouldn't like it? Would you watch it? I'd watch it.
All I know is that everybody that played on Sunday guarded like they were 65 years old.
Yeah, well, they need to go U.S. versus foreign. That would be such a great game. I'd also like to have them do something where people try to grab a coin off the top of the backboard to see if anybody can do that. You think there's anybody alive that can do it? I think there are probably a few.
Yeah, I think there are guys that could probably.
I mean, those would be. But wouldn't it be great? I think that players would get into it, wouldn't they? U.S. against the foreigners.
For that is again,
No.
I'm trying to think jingoistically if we could do that. Us
Why
against
can't
the
you?
world. They tried that. Tried that in the NHL. That worked. For a time.
I mean, you try to get people
gotta-
excited.
gotta
I
work-
think that would excite
gotta
the
work.
players.
Got to work better than what's going on right now.
No, I think they should go for 300. see how many the most you could score.
Listen, I was excited. I feel like Doc got his best win of the year.
That's mean. That's funny, but it's mean. All right, we can't continue. Come on. Rob Demoski next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
We've got an accident on the ramp from Appleton Avenue to northbound 41, so something to keep in mind there. Southbound side is going to be heavy from Hampton Avenue all the way down past Capitol Drive. We've got eastbound on 94 backing up from before 84th Street all the way through the Stadium interchange. Heavy ride on the westbound side out of the Marquette out to Mitchell Boulevard. And southbound 43, you'll be riding the brakes from Fond du Lac Avenue down through the Marquette and over the high-rise bridge. Traffic is brought to you by Fifth Third Bank, custom solutions built around your goals, member FDIC. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, mostly cloudy, a slight chance for showers later on to the south, a low of 36. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy and mild, a high of 56. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Attention, Wisconsin! Eagle Sports Range is now open, proudly claiming the title of Wisconsin's largest indoor range. Enjoy 40 lanes, unlimited range time, no reservations needed, and an impressive selection of 100 firearm rentals with unlimited swaps. Experience the thrill like never before. Right now, you can text ESPN to 414-375-6030 for a free range pass. That's 414-375-6030. Valid for one person only, expires within 48 hours. Head to eaglesportsrange.com for more info.
Make a stop at the Harley-Davidson Museum before heading out to the Mama Tried Motorcycle Show. They'll have food and drink specials for the motor bar and restaurant. Explore their newest exhibit, Mama Tried, bringing it together, and take a free shuttle to the rave for Saturday's show. The HD Factory Outlet Sale in Rumble includes fantastic deals on end of season and discontinued Harley-Davidson motor clothes and merchandise. Don't miss the fun pre-show gatherings. Thursday, February 22nd through Sunday, February 25th at the Harley-Davidson Museum.
Hey, it's Gary Olson here for Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center. Looking for that midday escape? Or maybe you want to impress a client? No matter the season, rain, snow, or shine, Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is open for you. A top-tech, cutting-edge golf experience that gives you the chance to play legendary courses. Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center simulators, entertainment, and best Bloody Marys make it feel like summer all year round. Just $35 an hour gets you a round and puts that summer feel back in your life. Book your bay at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
For over 4 decades, one name has stood out as a symbol of excellence in automotive sales and service. It's the Boucher Automotive Group, dedicated to providing exceptional experiences to all of our valued customers.
We will help you find the perfect vehicle within your budget while respecting your time.
With 20 convenient locations, we're the one-stop destination for all your automotive needs.
At Boucher, we're your trusted partner on every mile of your journey, riding with you every mile since 1977. The Boucher Group has exciting news to share with you. We've expanded to better serve our community.
Introducing Nissan Lake Country, the newest addition to our family.
Step into our showroom and discover our exceptional selection of brand new Nissans.
We are also stocked with the best pre-owned options in the market.
And as we expand, we're not just growing our inventory, we're also growing our team.
So join a team that values your skills and celebrates your success.
Visit us online or in-store today and view our current job listings at bouchercareers.com.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
The John Anderson 7.5 Homer Hour, the best 60 minutes of your day, joined now by Rob Domowski, number 68. You shot that in a club championship many years ago, and I suggested a golf tool now available to help him possibly shoot another 68. I'm pretty comfortable he has done nothing to search into that suggestion. Am I correct?
You are correct.
All right, I'll talk to Gary D'Amato. I'll take care of it. I care about your golf game more than you do. All right, John Anderson, 7.5, take over.
Well, listen, the number I'm worried about right now is 22-1 with the De Pere Redbirds. Where are we in the season before we get to the Packers? Are we into the playoffs yet? What do we have left?
This is the regular season finale this week, tonight, actually, at Sheboygan North. And Thursday against Green Bay Preble. And the brackets, believe it or not, John, have been announced already. They do it before the last week of the regular season, which makes no sense to me, but it is what it is. And we are the number one seed, and we will make another run at state and see if we can get there. Although the sectional has, I believe, 5 of the top 10 ranked teams in the state are in one sectional.
Wow, that used to be Milwaukee, but not anymore.
But we have Arrowhead and Sussex Hamilton and some of the Milwaukee area schools in our sectional, which whatever, it's fine. But the thing that I will rant for a very short time on this, the WIAA in June or July puts the sectionals together. Why? Like we've known who was in our sectional since June or July. Like that's just. I realize you don't have to wait till like the day before the pairings are announced, but you can wait till January and figure out who's good and who isn't. So, but whatever.
See, and I thought I just read where Governor Evers signed redistricting maps, and maybe I was reading the wrong story.
That's nice.
It wasn't in the sports page.
Apparently it was in the wrong section, although I will tell you this, John. Governor Evers' grandson is a teammate of my older sons at Lawrence University, and the two of them, both freshmen, finished first and third on the Lawrence Vikings in scoring this year. Now, it wasn't a great year, but when you have 2 of your top 3 scorers freshmen, one of which is the governor's grandson, hopefully the governor donates some money, maybe upgrade the facilities.
There you go. So we're moving there, and yeah, we'll see if the maps hold when that comes on. Hey, so I'm thinking Matt LaFleur has a stress-free off season. Like, what's he doing? Like, has he ever had a normal off season? Or what's taking up the guy's time when he doesn't have to worry about babysitting what this whole Rodgers situation is going to be?
Well, you're right. They're not going to the combine either, the coaching staff. They're not going next week, but they didn't go last year either. Apparently, General Manager Brian Gutekunst really doesn't care what his coaches think of the
Well, wait, let me interject there. You've been doing this a long time, and I don't know that the GMs ever cared that much about the coaches. I don't know what the interaction was, then versus now. Is it different or
I say that sarcastically.
I know, but I'm curious. I'm asking it just because I don't know.
Well, there were 2 things that the coaches did at the combine. One was they did sit in on the interviews, right, which I think did give them a little bit of a feel of what kind of players they were getting. And 2, they treated it as spring break and were at Harry and Izzy's and Prime 47 and what those other big ones.
Elmo's?
Elmo's? Elmo's is more the dinner place, but there was a nightclub with had 2 people's names. I can't remember.
I didn't go to Bobby Plump's last shot. I know because I've been there. No one's ever there. But
no, I've been there as well, and I enjoy that. But Buckhead is it Buckhead? Is that the neighborhood?
It may be, but yeah, Marquette played there 1 year right at the same time. And yes, those people get out and have a good time. Yes,
they do. The Pacers are in town Monday night, so I might try to catch Pacers game on there.
Yes, you
But
should.
Brian, but let's get back to your original question. Brian Gutekunst is talking to us on Tuesday in Indy, but Matt LaFleur, he does have a couple things, John, that he has to do this offseason. For one, he's got to, I say this not literally, but he has to babysit the new defensive staff and, make sure that they're doing it the way he wants it to be done. And then just yesterday, we had the news that they've hired a new strength and conditioning coach, a guy who was the 49ers assistant strength and conditioning coach the last 5 years. And as Bill Huber from PackersCentral.com so eloquently pointed out, that this guy, whether he had a hand in it or not, this guy comes from a team that managed to keep Christian McCaffrey really healthy compared to what he was when he played in Carolina, and the same with Trent Williams, who had an injury-filled career and then came to San Francisco and has played in most of the games. So is that why Matt LaFleur hired him? I mean,
yes,
who knows?
Yes, you keep McCaffrey healthy. You got a job. I would have done it exactly on that alone.
Right. And surely he came highly recommended from his buddy Kyle Shanahan. But and I have long maintained, Homer, that you always hear people when the injury reports come out, they've got 12, 15 guys. The fan reaction is fire the training staff, fire the medical staff. Well, I've always maintained it's not those guys. Those are the guys that treat you once you get hurt. It's the strength and conditioning coaches that make the big difference. And I don't know. You know Marquette a lot better than me, but I'll never forget when Todd Kowalczyk was a Marquette assistant and then came up here had the Green Bay job. He would bring the Marquette strength coach, Scott
Holsapple, toughest man that ever lived.
Yes. Todd would pay Scott out of his own pocket to come up here and train these guys and work with them. And ever since then, when I was around that, I became a believer that the injury prevention is 95% the strength and conditioning.
Without a doubt. By the way, I need 60 seconds to tell you the greatest Scott Holsapple story ever. He was an All-American boxer at Penn State, worked with a football team for years. All right? So somebody was bothering him, and he was messing with his truck, and they go down. The next thing you know, the guy has a gash all across his face. The police call in Scott Holsapple and say, "Sir, we're going to have to arrest you. We checked. You're a NCAA boxing champion. You have to realize that your hands are weapons." He said, "I never used my hands." They go, "What?" "No, I didn't use my hands." He said, "What happened?" He said, "I headbutted him. Whack! Straight in the head, just gashed him." Only Scott Holsapple will put you bloody with his head. But anyway, now go ahead. Yeah, he was so tough. The freshmen would come in, the players would tell them everything about Marquette except him. You didn't know that got here. Go ahead.
So what I'm hearing, Rob, is that we're trying to cut down on the hamstrings, which we lead the league in hamstring pulls.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Or soft tissue injuries. Is that how they relate? They call them now? Is that it?
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same thing with your calves, hamstrings. I mean, look at everyone wants to talk about Christian Watson, and obviously his was the big one. But you had Darnell Savage, who had a calf injury that bothered him. Eric Stokes had the hamstring injury that was a problem for him. And, I mean, it's not just Christian Watson. And, while I follow the Packers closer than other teams, it does seem like anecdotally that they do have more hamstring injuries than most teams, at least that I see the injury reports when they're playing the Packers. So I do think that is a big part of this off season is major injury prevention. Now, I will take you back to about 2000 and I think it was 16, maybe 15, 14, somewhere in there. Mike McCarthy came up with this STAY program, soft tissue activation something. I can't remember what the other A. It was STAA. And he would do this thing on Fridays where they wouldn't practice, and they would have all these recovery days and treatments and massages and blah, 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 and then they would practice on Saturday. And then that year, like for that 1 year, they were the healthiest I've ever seen. And then the next year, they were back to being, the same injury team that most teams are. He does it down in Dallas still. I don't know if it ever worked as well as that first year. Some of it is luck, but a big part of it is the strength and conditioning coach.
There's something wrong when Watson goes to take a knee and he's out 4 weeks, just like as he was taking a knee. And we have 30 minutes left in this show, and I bet Clay Matthews pulls a hamstring before we're done. That is my guess.
He did have one from the very beginning, the rookie year, and it never seemed to get better until he broke his thumb. And that was
never ever went away. Hey, earlier today I had the good pleasure to sit and visit with an old ESPN friend, old great Packer front office, Andrew Brandt, and he said, "Well, whatever you do, don't ask me about replacing Mark Murphy." So I didn't ask him about replacing Mark Murphy, but I noticed that we've started to get the ball rolling in that direction. And so what's the processes of this that hopefully doesn't turn out to be kind of how we did it when they first replaced Bob Harlan, or when we first replaced Bob Iger, and that didn't go so well either. So, like these handpicked guys, and maybe we just need to roll it and just take some guys just on his resume.
Well, the first thing they did was write a large check. My guess is somewhere around $500,000 to $1 million to Jed Hughes at Korn Ferry to be the search firm in this. And look, they're probably going to hire Ed Policy, right? Like that's probably like the 75% chance that they're going to hire Ed Policy, who has worked alongside Mark Murphy for several years and looks absolutely tailor-made to fit this job. But you know how this business goes. There's kickbacks, and Mark Murphy was a Korn Ferry client, and then Korn Ferry then was hired by the Packers, and they placed Mark Murphy with the blessing of the league office in Green Bay. So there will be some politics to this as well. I did find it interesting that they definitely said they want some overlap time between the two presidents, because if they remember, I believe it was a very, very short overlap when Mark Murphy came in December of 2007, and by January of 2008, he was full-time, and Bob Harlan had an office that was just, he probably never used. So I do think it's interesting that they want to have a bigger sort of overlap. If it's Ed Policy, they've been overlapping for the last, half decade or whatever it's been. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if there are some names that might be thrown in there that you might be surprised at. I'm not willing to completely rule out John Schneider's interest in this job. I know he has finally gained control in Seattle. The 15-year power struggle between him and Pete Carroll finally swayed toward John Schneider, so maybe he would not want to leave. But I do know that there are plenty of people in Green Bay who, by people I mean the business people who make up the board of directors of this team that ultimately end up selecting the president. There are plenty of John Schneider fans on that board. So I think it would be interesting if John were to be interested in this job. And then who knows what other people around the league and quite frankly out of the league might be interested in this job. I mean, Mark Murphy was, what was he doing at the time? Was he working for Northwestern, right? He was Northwestern athletic director. So, I mean, look at who Minnesota. Now, Minnesota's set up obviously different. They don't have an owner, but Minnesota hired the commissioner of the Big Ten to be their president, right? The Vikings, last year. So,
the Bears. The Bears took
the Bears.
Warren.
You're right. The Bears.
Yeah, they took Warren.
The Bears. Yeah, Bears. All those losing division teams, they all run together. Bears, Vikings.
Nicely done. Let's put that up on Twitter immediately. I want to know who's at the top of your list on people should be wondering about this player and this player and this player. Because I'm just thinking about Jets and the Packers in the Super Bowl, but others have more important stuff to do. Who's up there where you're wondering, worrying, thinking, and that people should be following most closely?
Well, I'm working on a piece for later in the week, Homer, about how they may not re-sign any of their free agents. None of them. I'm talking, Darnell Savage,
because
Jonathan Owen, because they're not. They need to upgrade at those spots. Keyshawn Nixon is probably the only one that you would even consider re-signing for any significant amount of money. I mean, A.J. Dillon's not going to get re-signed. Josiah DeGuara, Tyler Davis. I mean, John Runyon. They're all out the door. So where does that leave us in terms of what we think the additions to the roster are going to be? And part of that is when do they cut David Bakhtiari? because that seems inevitable, and pick up the $21 million in cap space to be able to go out and spend some money in free agency on other people's free agents.
Yeah, but I need to ask you on this. I just assume they won't do anything in free agency, and I've been right every year because that's not a philosophy. But if they do it, people need to understand it must be big, or there's got to be reasons, because they generally never do this, and it's a waste of time to even look at it. But do you think this could be a different year?
I think this could be a year where they sign a couple of guys to a decent thing. It's not going to be like last year where everybody was a 1 year, $3-4 million deal, and that's it. I don't know that it's going to be the Preston Smith, the Darius Smith, Adrian Amos, and Billy Turner blockbuster where they spent about $100 million in one day. I don't think it's going to be that, but I do think it's going to be more than it was last year. I think the safety position could be one. I think there could be a linebacker that they might like. I don't know who, but I just think looking at the way they're going to play defense, you probably need to add another experienced inside linebacker to be able to do what Jeff Hafley wants to do in the system. The other thing that I'm looking forward to, quite frankly, Homer, I want to hear from Jeff Hafley. He's been hired, almost probably a month now, maybe a little less than a month, and we haven't heard from this guy yet. I want to know what he thinks.
Is that the longest it's ever gone for you with a Packer hire of that significance?
Sure seems like it.
Right.
The reasoning I was told was they want to get all the positions filled. I believe the strength and conditioning position was the last one that got filled, and that was finalized yesterday. So hopefully by the end of the week we hear from Jeff Hafley, and we hear from Matt LaFleur on what he liked about Jeff Hafley. Because quite frankly, to me, I know people love the draft. I know they love free agency. To me, the most interesting thing about this offseason is how are they going to play defense, and what is this defensive coordinator's plan to get this team better on that side of the ball? That, to me, is what I want to know.
Any last question? 7-2.5. Take it away.
That's what everybody wants to know, right? That's the 60 after the Jordan Love question gets answered, which think he can play is this guy.
Right.
I'm curious to see though how much he can say if he can say whatever he wants, but knowing that right now he doesn't have 11 guys to put out there. So I'll be curious to see.
It's more about what he thinks of the guys they do have returning, how he plans to use them, and then the whole Dom Capers when he took over in 2009. Who are they going to draft for him? Now Dom got B.J. Raji and Clay Matthews in the first round. I don't know that this guy's going to get 2 first-round picks, but they have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds that certainly they could package, or they could just take where they are and end up with 5 players, and what would that be? The top 100 or so picks.
Appreciate it. Look forward to free agency. I can say Demoski inched out a little bit, which for the Packers is going a long way, because every year this could be it, and it never is. So when it happens, it needs to be mentioned as rare. You would agree with that?
I agree, Homer.
Yep.
We'll talk in March and see if they've actually done anything.
Yep. Thanks, Rob. Rob Demoski. Third quarter, next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
We've got some delays westbound 94 coming right out of the Marquette interchange all the way through the stadium. The eastbound side's going to be on and off the brakes basically from 92nd Street all the way to 35th. An accident northbound 41, technically on the Appleton Avenue on-ramp, and 894 westbound getting into the act, backing things up through the Mitchell interchange all the way past Loomis. Traffic is brought to you by the Harley-Davidson Museum. Don't miss the Mama Tried Motorcycle Show and the HD Factory Outlet Sale in Rumble on the Harley-Davidson Museum's campus from February 22nd through the 25th. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, mostly cloudy skies. Slight chance for some showers later on to the south, a low of 36. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy, mild, a high of 56. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Weather is brought to you by Showtime Floors, installing beautiful floor shield. Transform your garage or basement floors into a showpiece. Mention ESPN for 10% off now through December 31st. ShowtimeFloors.com.
The countdown to opening day is on. Get your tickets for an action-packed 2024 Brewers season now. That's any game you want, any way you want. All season, featuring brand new giveaways, brand new theme nights and community nights. Can't miss ticket deals, and all the season's best Brewers action. Make sure you're here for every moment. Check out the complete schedule and grab your seats now at brewers.com/tickets.
Go beyond your field of study and get a world-class education in leadership by joining the U.S. Army ROTC. Army ROTC programs transform students into confident leaders and provide a wide range of scholarships to help pursue life-defining careers. As an Army officer, you'll work side by side with peers who support your growth. Gain the experience and get the resources to open doors down the road. Army ROTC is open for enrollment. Visit goarmy.com/ROTC to learn more about available opportunities and scholarships, including at Marquette University.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Right now, the prices of diamonds are probably the lowest we'll see in our lifetime.
Diamond prices are low, low, low. Here's why.
It was hard to meet new people during COVID.
When a person meets their soulmate, they usually get engaged about 39 months later.
People started dating again only about 36 months ago.
Most of the people who got engaged during COVID
or immediately after COVID
were already in a relationship before the COVID lockdown began.
The Wall Street Journal even published a story about all of this.
Low sales of engagement rings created a worldwide oversupply of diamonds.
But now, engagement ring sales are beginning to pick up again.
By the end of next spring, this temporary oversupply will be gone.
And diamond prices will start climbing like crazy.
If you ever wanted to own a big diamond, this is the year to do it.
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
If you want to own a big diamond, the time is now.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Been doing it for 20 years and did it wrong. Told you that Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service. Well, that's accurate, but there's more. They've been doing it well for over 50 years. Yep, family-owned. 50 years. When you're good the first year, imagine how good you'll be after 50 years. Simplify confusing insurance decisions. Yeah, they're not so confusing to them after 50 years. Level-funded health insurance, they figured that out. Small enough to handle your needs with special attention and large enough to have the clout to make it happen. As it should have been. Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits, top-notch service, and doing it well for over 50 years. With 7'2.5", John Anderson. Actually, we talked about the Fosbury Flop. He was very close to 7'2" at the time where he was making the Olympics and winning the Olympics. That was at a time not that long ago. 7'2.5". You could have been world champion.
I always tell people I was a great high jumper if I was back when we had sawdust pits.
Yes, that's right.
That was it.
You were
a
little late. Or I don't know how you put that.
Late.
Yeah. All right. What is your thought on the Packers in this offseason?
With Rodgers' kind of money coming off the books, they do something without Bakhtiari. I would like to see him do something. There's got to be a player out there somewhere. I'm with you. It's so nothing every year. It is just
they believe in their system.
And we spend time talking about, well, maybe this guy. And I get that it's sort of like they've done very few, and most of them have been pretty good, right? Like I don't know that you're going to get another Charles Woodson out there. And like Devondre Campbell doesn't count. He was a guy on the street. That wasn't like some pegged free agent type signing. And I'm all for within the system and player development. I worry every once in a while. Like this happens at ESPN. We have people that are raised in the system, and then they say, well, you need to think outside the box. Well, you can't because you've been raised solely in this system. So I don't think it hurts every once in a while to bring in a little outsider, see if they have some ideas, see what they know, change the locker room a little bit. Maybe there's something about that person that they could add something to what is just always, the Packer way or whatever you want to, describe that as. You don't want to shake it up. You don't want to change what works, but I don't think it hurts to add a wrinkle in there. And I also think sometimes it's just there are guys out there that could help, that you could do something that are available. I don't have the entire list in front of me. I just wish they were that I could have a little, the baseball term, I could have a little hot stove action to follow, because otherwise I'm just sitting here in the draft and waiting to see, who they. And this year they got a bunch of picks, so who knows if they're like, listen, we are going to find a spot on the roster for 11 dudes, 12 dudes. How do we find 3 more? So I was
See, and I was going to tell them
eye-opening it, but I like that Rob said that
yes,
none of those dudes are coming back. Like, just it looks like not one of those cats is coming back, and that's surprising.
Well, and I would say there's more confidence in Goody than there maybe has ever been based on what has happened in the last couple of drafts. So in the past, the thought was they could use some free agents, but you didn't know if you wanted him to pick them. And as well as he's done in the draft, I could see how he would think even less of the need for free agency unless there's just one spot that they feel has to be needed. And I don't know, wouldn't that tell us or give us some indication of how good he thinks the team could be this year to be aggressive with one or two? I don't even say 2. 1, because thinking that's what you do. I mean, if you think you're that good, then you could easily add a defensive player, right? You clearly don't need an offensive player.
Yeah, I think they're always going to be in a supplemental role, right? I don't know that they're going to be the ones that are. I don't know that they're out anymore. Going to make a Reggie White splash unless literally Reggie White.
No, but I think
is
of like
there.
Eugene Robinson, or I think of a veteran player who used to be. Now, again, I'm assuming things are different because you have the cap and everything like that. And what is not different is we're late again, the fourth quarter.
No.
Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Golfers, listen up. It's Gabe Neitzel from On the Tee, and we are heading to Scotland with our friends at Wisconsin Golf Trips. That's right, Scotland. You can join myself and Stephen Watson as we head overseas to play some of the best courses in the world. This package includes green fees, lodging, transportation, and more. But there are only a limited amount of spots available, so sign up now. For information on the trip and a link for paying, you can text GOLF right now to the ESPN Milwaukee Talk and Text line at 800-990-3776. That's GOLF to 800-990-3776.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Are you tired of looking at a dirty, dusty, and cracked garage and looking for a fresh new look? Hi, this is ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta, and I'm here to tell you about Floor Shield by Showtime Floors. Using a state-of-the-art coating 4 times stronger than traditional epoxy, it's tough enough to be used in military bases and airports. Floor Shield is certified as an anti-slip floor and also eco-friendly, all while being UV stable, and my favorite part, easy to clean. This makes it perfect for outdoor spaces, just like your patio. Check it out at ShowtimeFloors.com and work with a specialist to transform your space in as little as one day.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
It's time for the Ortho ASAP Minute from Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
I'm here with Dr. Sam Steiner. How much do you enjoy being able to help someone through really the entire process of coming back from an injury?
I mean, I think it's something very special. It's something I look forward to every day, being able to wake up, see people from the time they're injured, and then take them all the way through the process of explaining what they've had done, taking care of them, in some cases operating on them, and then afterwards being able to see the recovery and see them get back to where they want to be.
It seems to me that there is a strong connection between patient and doctor here. Why is that?
Many of us grew up in the area. We went to high schools that we now take care of. I think it's really unique and special that we can take care of people we went to school with, their families, friends of our parents at our facility. It holds you accountable. They can literally say, hey, if you don't do a good job, I'm going to tell your mom. We really have something very special and unique here at OAW.
The Ortho ASAP Minute is sponsored by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Tune in to Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Behind the Bucks peels back the curtain to give fans unique access and deep storytelling unlike ever before. Subscribe and download right now to get a companion podcast to the new Amazon documentary, Giannis, A Marvelous Journey. Hear about the making of the dog and learn about how Milwaukee became home for the Adetokounmpo family. Find Behind the Bucks at bucks.com/plus or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
It is so big, I'm going to mention it again. Tune in to Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network, presented by Gallagher. Behind the Bucks uncovers all the stories around the Milwaukee Bucks, long-form storytelling podcasts that offer fans a look at Bucks-related topics from the hardwood to the city streets and everything in between. A behind-the-scenes look at the Giannis documentary, discussions with community leaders, and find out the thoughts of former stars. Oh, they gotta have Randy Brewer. Behind the Bucks covers it all, bringing you Bucks stories like you've never heard before. Behind the Bucks, presented by Gallagher. Find it on Bucks Plus, wherever you get your podcasts. Best 60 minutes of the day with ESPN's John Anderson, also 7-2.5. And haven't had a chance. I feel like the fourth quarter should be, is there old man John Anderson? He's got something that irritates him. You have other interests, though everything is important as it relates to the Green Bay Packers. I'm wondering your fascination with the Brewers Jackson Cheerio. And I assume whenever he does anything, they're going to throw Cheerios out there, right? It isn't spelled the same, but he's Cheerio. Isn't that a given?
Can you get those in? Yeah. What you need to do is start branding those, right, with the Brewer logo.
Yes. Yeah.
First off, because you said his name. How tall was Randy Brewer? Because if I think, wow, I jumped over Randy Brewer, that would be an amazing.
No, he was 7'4", I believe. Okay. I'll check.
That's
but you were close.
Right. God bless Big Brewer. Maybe Mokeski. I don't know. He was probably got over him.
Oh, without a doubt. He was 6'11". The great story about Randy Brewer, when I mentioned him one time, a lady called up and said, yeah, I had a place in some antique thing, and my mom was there, and he was buying something, and he didn't like the price. And he said to her, do you know who I am? Can you believe Randy?
Said, yes.
No, she said she didn't know, but I thought, did you ever think in his life that Randy Brewer would ever say, do you know who I am? I would have voted no on that. But anyway, gave me a chance to bring it up. So what's
the Cheerio thing's great. I mean, listen, he's 19 years old. I think there's a lot of honestly, I know they're paying him a ton. I'm not so sure I'd put him out there in opening. I don't know that he's ready yet. With the money they're paying, they're gonna have to rush him up there. But I'm not.
He turns
so sure
20 in March. I think so.
I'm not so sure I need him there quite yet. As always, now can he pitch? I see they signed Brandon Woodruff, which is great for Brandon Woodruff for this year and into next year when he comes through. I'm glad that they're out in spring training. I'm out on the gold crown hat. That bothers me some. That would be a grumpy old man thing.
Yeah,
I'm not.
You've got it in you. I just have to
don't
find
like that at all.
You got any Bucks grumpy old man? Doc Rivers?
Well, you got mad at me because I said that Doc had his best win. You know.
Yeah.
So
come on, it's not a game. You can't get a win if it's not a game. You can quote me on that.
As much as I love the Bucks, and like I'm a Brewer guy first, that's who
right.
I want to win the championship. But the Bucks season to me, I'm trying not to let the loss in the NBA Cup ruin it for me. And then the firing.
That's nice. That is very good. No, it's coming down. This is all preseason. You got the playoffs, and if depends on Lillard, how good he is, and everybody's beating up Doc Rivers, and I think it's a great opportunity. His career is very simple. He's had more disappointing and blow-ups in the playoffs than anybody, leading 3-1. But he's in the club. He's got a ring. And when you're in the club, everything else becomes secondary. And now he has a chance to do something that would be as great as what he did with the Celtics. If he can find a way somehow.
He pulls this off.
Yes.
He pulls this off, and then he gets rid of a lot of the jokes about 3-1 leads and all those other things.
You know what happens?
I'll leave you.
You know what
I'll leave
happens?
you this-
He gets in the Hall of Fame. He gets in the Hall of Fame.
He's going to get in the Hall of Fame anyway. Which
You
I
think
don't know.
so?
That's a stat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave you this grumpy old thing. I held true a couple weeks ago. When I went home, I drove right through South Bend and stayed at a Hampton Inn in Michigan City, Indiana for you. And then I just locked the door and stayed inside. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere, but I am not staying in South Bend. By the way, the Cubs have done less in free agency than the Packers ever do. Is how bad that looks.
Oh, you just wanted to bring up the Cubs so you can bring up Benedict Arnold.
Nope.
Come on.
And I don't know how you and I get George Scott on the Walk of Fame, but that might be my new goal in life, is to right that wrong.
Do it. I'm there. As president, I failed. You might have a chance. I've tried. Yeah, that would be something. That'd be worth staying in a hotel in Michigan City for. Thanks. 7-2.5, John Anderson. So good. Next. Not as good. Next.
Accident-free now, so we are moving along a little bit better in certain areas. Still kind of slow on westbound 94 out of